All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to dive deep into, well, a real phenomenon, aren't we? Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code.
It really was something else when it landed. Huge impact.
Exactly. And we've looked at sources exploring the mystery, the historical side of things, and its massive effect globally.
Wow.
So, our mission today for this deep dive is to really unpack what made this book just so compelling. And let's be honest, so controversial too.
Definitely controversial.
Okay, so the basic setup, you've got Robert Langdon, the Harvard symbologist.
Right, the tweed-wearing expert.
And Sophie Nauvoo, a cryptologist. They get pulled into investigating this really bizarre murder at the Louvre. The curator, Jacques Saunier.
And it's immediately clear this isn't just any murder. There are codes, symbols, left right at the scene.
Which leads them down this rabbit hole, uncovering clues hidden in famous art, especially Da Vinci's work, naturally.
And connecting to things like the Priory of Sion, this supposed secret society, and Opus Dei, the real Catholic organization.
It pulls all these threads together.
But the core, the real explosive center of the mystery, revolves around Mary Magdalene.
Yes. The book suggests she wasn't just a disciple. Far more, potentially.
Exactly. It posits this idea of a hidden lineage, a secret protected for centuries, directly challenging, centuries of Christian teaching.
And that's where so much of the debate ignited. It wasn't just a thriller plot point. It felt like a direct question to history itself.
It absolutely tapped into that desire for hidden knowledge, for the what-if behind the official story.
And the plot itself is just relentless. Langdon and Nauvoo are constantly on the run.
Oh yeah, it's a proper chase across Europe. Paris, London, Scotland.
Solving puzzles, dodging enemies, the whole thriller package. All while heading towards this potentially world-altering revelation about Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and the church.
It's incredibly fast-paced. Brown really mastered blending history, art, codes, and religion into something that just keeps you reading. You have to know what happens next.
That puzzle element is key, isn't it?
Absolutely. But as you said, the controversy wasn't just in the story. It was the story for many. Those claims about Christian history sparked global arguments.
Heated ones.
It showed how powerful a piece of fiction could be in shaping public discussion about, well, very complex historical and theological ideas. Maybe even simplifying them too much, some argued.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works. And we should touch on the criticisms because they were definitely there.
Of course.
Our sources point out critiques about the writing styles, sometimes called a bit clunky, and crucially, the historical liberties taken. Big ones.
Yes, historians and academics were quick to point out factual inaccuracies, especially around the Priory of Sion, Opus Dei, and interpretations of early Christian history. And fairly so from a purely factual standpoint.
So how does that square with its success? Does the fiction part excuse the fact part for readers?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think for many readers, it wasn't presented or read as a history textbook. It excelled at suspense, at weaving this tapestry of possible secrets.
So what if?
Exactly, the what if. It got people thinking about history, maybe Googling things, visiting museums, even if the prompt was fictionalized. It sparked curiosity.
I remember that. Suddenly everyone was an expert on the Knights Templar or Renaissance art.
Right, and you saw the impact in tourism too. The Louvre, Rosslyn Chapel. They saw surges in visitors wanting to see the places from the book. That's tangible cultural impact right there, driven by the story, despite, or maybe even fueled by, the controversy.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, we come back to Langdon and Nauvoo's quest and why these secrets, real or imagined, fascinate us so much.
The Da Vinci Code really stands as this major example of narrative power, blending fact and fiction to create something that grabs you, makes you think, makes you argue.
It certainly generated conversation on a massive scale and perhaps encouraged a bit more critical thinking about accepted stories for some people.
It undeniably made history and religious history topics of popular conversation in a way few things had before.
Which leads to our final thought for you to consider. If one fictional thriller can stir up so much debate, so much curiosity about history, about religion, what does that reveal about us? About our maybe ongoing desire to find hidden truths, to question the narratives we're given? What does it tell you about the sheer power of a good story to make us re-examine what we think we know?